attitude of a startup culture. So having said that, I understand that there are a lot of things which the accelerators bring in through that process as such. The journey through accelerators, we'll just hold it for some time before understanding the whole ecosystem at first. Just 1 second. So typically, there are a lot of studies which happen globally on what really the startup ecosystem is doing and how it is being functioning, and basically to understand how to make it more sustainable and growable. So this is one of the study. It is done by Crunchbase and few other set of people in the startup ecosystem, all put together globally. And see, one thing which we understood is, why is it Bangalore shining too much than any other city? Every city is putting its efforts. What really makes a difference? So they have measured in set of parameters saying like funding availability, performance availability, performance index basically. The talent availability, the kind of support which is existing in the environment for the startup to sustain, and the mindset of the entrepreneurs and also of the environment around the entrepreneurs. So, and again the trend setting factor. So these are the prime areas which they have looked at while they trying to list down what are the most preferred cities for a startup. So it was very surprising, it was very annoying that, okay, do you mean to say that we didn't do it good? It's not the case. A lot of factors. See, I basically come from a small town called Coimbatore. So when I went to Chennai, the environment was different. When I went to Hyderabad, the environment was different. When I came to Bangalore, the environment was completely different. The acceptance of a startup founder is pretty high. A lot of things which has already been learned by other entrepreneurs, which is continuously getting shared over here with fellow entrepreneurs through a lot of open and close networking opportunities. So if you look at the ecosystem as such, there are few things which they say it's very essential for us to go ahead and look out. One is basically the access to the mentors. When I say mentors, it's mostly preferred to be the entrepreneurs who have run through the journey and who has experienced what a startup entrepreneur could go through. Okay, not just somebody who gives a gap. If somebody says bootstrapping, and if I'm a mentor, I should have done it already. If somebody talks about lean, I should have done it already. So that's what it's all about. And the study which has been taken has been considered, and some of the output of the study is basically, if you look at the prime comparison, Silicon Valley is said to be the best startup environment across the globe, and Israel is, Tel Aviv is second best. And I believe this year there are about 40-50 entrepreneurs from Mumbai who travel down to Tel Aviv to find out what exactly is happening in Tel Aviv and trying to bring in that kind of an experience. Silicon Valley, naturally, a lot of investors and angel investors, and a lot of tech entrepreneurs from Bangalore and NCR is also continuously traveling over there and trying to bring in that kind of an expertise to India. So typically, if you look at it, the education is between the primary and the PhDs. There is a dramatical difference there. the difference actually enables a lot of outsourcing of development opportunities, which we don't do it in India. See, one of the key complaints or change in approach is basically they say the technology adoption is very poor. So most of the entrepreneurs, technology entrepreneurs stick on to one or two technologies, say PHP and Java predominantly. So which is not the case with Silicon Valley. So they use more open source, but still, they are pretty strong in diversified technology. Say, for example, Ruby and Rule, Rails, or something like that, which can actually give more access to new processes, new methodologies, which is not existing or which is hardly existing in other processes. Sorry, other applications. So that is one part which we have found it out. So working hours is we are definitely doing better, whether it is in Silicon Valley or whether it is in Bangalore or anywhere else. We extend and work dramatically. And the percentage of non-technical founding teams is also almost the same. And the biggest place where we make a dramatical lagging is the serial entrepreneurs. So we don't find much of serial entrepreneurs because we have more traditional kind of businesses which is sustaining over here. So that way what happens is we have more traders than entrepreneurs. So that's definitely a big challenge, and we are more focused towards service organizations rather than product organizations, which is not the case with Silicon Valley. So that's one of the second challenge. So when you say product, there is always a life cycle of a product. So that naturally an entrepreneur gets the second opportunity to go ahead and explore for the next venture. So which is not available with service organizations. Even if you work for about 20 years, typically take the case of Infosys, they have to bring in Narayan Murthy at this age to again drive the organization and motivate its team to take it towards next level in spite of having pretty huge cash balance. So another big difference is our focus towards business to business products or services is very, very less when it compared with Silicon Valley. Recently, I had an opportunity to talk to Michael Dell at Bangalore in NASCOM 10,000 startup. The first thing which he said is, if you look at IT product environment, the B2C segment is about 250 million or 300 million market, and 2.7 billion, sorry, trillion market, sorry, it's 300 billion market. 2.7 trillion market is with the B2B segment, not with the B2C segment. So we use the major chunk of business available. So we need to move towards business to business model rather than focusing on business to consumer model. So the product versus impact is another challenge, primarily because the market is not really that matured, to accept new products. Yeah, we also have a lot of features talk to say there. See, for example, if you look at the user experience and the user interface, where basically the design and architecture of the product, when it comes to the consumer mindset, the developer always says, I've done the best. Okay, the product managers never agree that they have not built a substandard product with the customer expectation. So Indian consumer is migrating very slow from the past technologies to the new technologies. Predominantly, I would explain it in a very raw way so that you could understand it easily. Not many customers do not understand the difference between a TV, a television set, and a computer. They want to access the computer as that of a television set. It means to say that if the software is not working, they are not ready to understand that why the software is not ready to work. So they instantly call up the service provider and fire them, saying like, okay, you gave me some substandard product which is not going to help me. So that's the mindset of Indian consumer. The migration has to happen. it's very slow happening here. That's the biggest challenge an entrepreneur needs to understand, because we have not spent enough time basically in understanding the customer. So that's one of the key aspects which you get it like when you go for an accelerator, which is instantly forced on you, saying like you definitely have to do it. And typically one another challenge is when you say founder, the percentage of founders who lived in Silicon Valley, it means to say that Silicon Valley is the god for now for startups. Okay, but if you look at Silicon Valley startups and Indian startups have more complex work environment, and the societies do not accept startups. The entrepreneurs themselves are not convinced with startups in many cases, which we have found it, and which is not the case for a Silicon Valley startup. So that way, the percentage of founders living in Silicon Valley migrating to India would help us a lot to understand the whole ecosystem of how it works. Okay. So, for example, if they say start fast and fail fast, which is not an acceptable social phenomena in India. So failure is not an acceptable phenomena here. So encouraging failure, there are a lot of activities which happen. If you take Bangalore, at least large events where 200, 300 people minimum take part in an event. I'm talking about 200, 300 founders taking part in the event, which is specifically meant for failure. It's happening at least once in 2 months in Bangalore. So that's one of the the education which is available in this ecosystem, which needs to be continuously improved. So this is one other big challenge. So if you move to startups from the ecosystem, so what exactly do these startups have as a challenge? So typically these are the challenges, either in terms of team, in terms of fund, in terms of cash flow, in terms of operational funds, in terms of infrastructure funds, and then paying customers, price in terms of product pricing, in terms of validation of your product or your service, or your price, or your business model, sometimes even your competition, and a fight between survival or growth, current versus future, and typically having little access to go-to-market support and product validations, and basically the access to the mentors is another big challenge. Where if you go back to my previous slide, we spoke about the founders who are there in Silicon Valley and the serial entrepreneurs is less. So that actually says that we have very limited mentors who have understood the total ecosystem, who has capability to deliver what really the startups want. So another big challenge which we see is the self-development of the entrepreneurs. There is no right and wrong way there. Yeah. So that way, what happens is we predominantly take longer time to learn from our mistakes, and primarily because of this access. So this is one challenge area which has to be, which can be changed only by the environment. So if we have more access to more serial entrepreneurs, more mentors, that's the only thing which can change it. But still, there are a lot of ifs and buts over there, which we'll discuss later point in this presentation. So let's go case by case. So first, let us look at what exactly the team can do. So if you look at team can actually do few things which cannot be expected in the corporate environment. Okay, so that is one prime thing which we need to look at. So what is that? So in a corporate, it is said to be okay to have one soldier. soldier is somebody who is being directed very, very clearly by his senior authorities, and then they have a clear access to what is required. There is standard operating procedures which is clearly defined what has to be done when there is a critical need and how they need to take the decisions. So everything is defined over there. It's not really a big challenge for somebody to go and work in a corporate when you compare it exactly with a startup where nothing is there other than the founder. So when I say nothing is there, it doesn't mean really that there is nothing the founders do. It's very skeptical. Some people cannot take decisions. So in a corporate, there is a defined procedure how to take the decisions. For example, we say you have to set your decision goal. Okay, build your decision strategy so that it's easy for somebody to go ahead and take the decisions on behalf of you. So when I say decision strategy, I would like to cite an example, a small example of an airline called Southwest Airline based out of US, which says you can do anything as long as the cost is low. Okay, the core idea of the airlines is keep the cost minimum. That way, it actually helps the airline to keep going and the customers get the best benefit out of it. So when a manager wants to understand typically whether they have to change the food, say for example a local food. For example, if the flight flies from Mumbai to Delhi, and if they want to check whether they can add vada pav, so it's easy for somebody to take a decision whether is that going to cut down the cost or is that going to add on the cost. Okay, if it's going to cut the cost, what is the value you deliver to the customer through that cutting the cost? So not just cutting the cost, it's also about the value delivery to the customer. So that makes it clear for somebody to go ahead and decide what they wanted to do. It's a very simple task, but still it's easy for us to go ahead and say, but when it comes for real-time operation, it's pretty complicated for somebody to go ahead and look out for what really they want. So typically what we expect out of your team is basically to sustain and grow in a startup is I want a team which is faster like a gladiator. Okay, so just remember gladiator figure over there. So probably you know what exactly it is. It is fearful, it's proactive, it is sensitive, pretty knowledgeable, and the highest risk taker, sometimes even better than the entrepreneur. Mostly they are alone, like the entrepreneur, but still they can work as a team. Has to be definitely courageous because maybe you need to work till 12 o'clock and you should not get scared at the ghost. That's not really what courageous means basically. When you work alone, when you don't have a clear idea of what this work is going to be, your life is at stake. So they should have a courage to go and do whatever it takes to reach the goal. So that courage is highly required. So they should be ready to meet failures at pretty early stages and accept the failures. They should have interest to listen good, and very importantly, they should love the customers, not definitely the products. That is a big learning there. They should have a pretty good understanding about the user UI and UX part. Ready to forget the clock for themselves, but not for others. So when I say all these things, this is exactly what is applicable to the entrepreneurs too. Okay, there is one small difference. What entrepreneurs have to teach their team is basically asking for help. Most of the entrepreneurs feel it's so complicated to ask for help. So there's nothing to worry about it. So if you go in the morning towards your office, or if you work from home, and if you want to go and meet some fellow entrepreneurs in a networking session or prospect, The first thing which you look at is your empty pocket. So don't hesitate. Ask for help. Find out a way to move ahead. So money is not the only factor which is going to drive or kill your organization. There is always a way, to keep moving forward. For example, I know many entrepreneurs, including me, who has taken the personal branding as one of the help to drive the organization. So what I did is, so I had a lot of training skills throughout my career on various aspects, say on leadership, on team building, and which I learned it on practice. So I took myself and I put myself as trainer before a couple of my friends who were there in the industry, and I said I can train people. So some of them were willing to take the risk on me by giving small opportunities. I took that and I landed up. So my current training opportunities are pretty good, but I mean I have less opportunity to pursue that primarily because of my current workload. But yes, it dramatically helped us to meet the initial costings. While we started the organization, at least for the first 1.5 years, that was something which was giving us more revenue. In fact, we had customers even before naming the company. So in spite of having customers, we were unable to sustain with the kind of cash flow because the challenges which was existing in front of us much more bigger than what we assumed it to be. So we took the courage to stay there and continuously explore the challenges. So that is something which is required for any entrepreneur to go ahead and do it. Yeah, I mean, I definitely know it's easy to say, it's tough to walk through that life, but there is no way. Okay. Now, when it comes for cash, most of the people try to reach out to friends and family. There is nothing wrong in it, but you need to understand that there is a bigger commitment when you go to the friends and family. So you have to meet that commitment. So the deadlines which you give it back to them, saying like, yes, I'll win it by this period, has to be pretty clear. If that is not clear, it's not going to work for you. Believe me, it's not definitely going to work for you. Either you'll spoil the organization or you'll spoil the relationship. So understand, take the bet on your family or friends only when you have confident inflow in terms of time and quantity of money which you are talking about. So don't ever hesitate. Do not feel shame to ask for help. Asking for help is not a sin anymore, specifically when you run a startup. It's not necessary to reinvent every single aspect what you've learned already. So that's something which you definitely need to learn. And I just want to have a small talk about the minimum viable product, which is one of the biggest challenge for any tech startup or even say about a service startup. So minimum viable product, otherwise it's called a prototype, basically, which the biggest challenge which an entrepreneur finds is, how do I decide, okay, if my market size is pretty big, where should I start? Okay, I'll tell you where should you start. You should start at the most easiest place, okay, which is an easy penetration. You look around you. If you know some people in, say, about retail industry, and if your product can fit for retail industry, go and talk to those people and say, hey, I'm planning to build something like this. Will you be interested, basically, to look at a product, some product like this? And in case if they say yes, that's exactly where you can go ahead and fit your MVP there. So to what extent I can stretch, you're not supposed to stretch when it comes for MVP. So whatever you say as a minimum viable product, the word defines what it is. It's a minimum viable product. It's not a beta, it's not a product. Okay? So it's just to say that, okay, you know what, this can work. That's it. It's very simple that way, right? So when it comes to minimum viable product, there is another problem called minimum viable segment, which we talked about, the retail concept which we talked about. Understanding the minimum viable segment and penetrating that segment, there are certain points which you need to note at. So it should be an easy entry at first. You should have somebody to give you the domain knowledge, support the domain knowledge in case if you don't have an internal team which can do that, including the entrepreneur. It's preferred to have the entrepreneur in that space to the first order. Yeah, I mean, if you get it, it's great, but do not expect them and do not blame them for that. I mean, they have their own set of needs. They know you as a person, not as an entrepreneur, not as a founder of an organization which builds products or services. So accept them and keep moving there. So the MVP has to go from the first stage 1 to stage 2. Find out a minimum viable segment where the MVP's versions, first version, second version, where you get opportunity to learn, where there is no solution available for the current set of challenges. That is exactly the place which you need to look at. Again, I have to pull in Michael Dell here. So he was trying to, format the hard disks of the legendary IBM machines. When he started off at his garage, one of his customers came down there and asked, "What is this box all about?" So he said, "This is a machine which I'm using to format that hard disk." The second question which the customer asked, "Does this have a hard disk?" So Michael then has to say yes. So the customer asked, "Can I do this?" So Michael then said, "Yeah, that could be done." Then the customer said, "You know what? I need about 20 of this at my office. Tell me when can you bring in and what is the cost?" So engage the customer in your MVP and MES process so that they could understand the value and give you the money before the funder or the investor, basically, so that your market is viable and validated by a customer, not by an investor or by an expert. So that is the best validation which you can get it from from the industry for your product or your service. So next biggest challenge is how do I innovate? How do I question? How do I price? So I love this book called Blue Ocean Strategy. In case if you are a book lover, probably you need to look at it. There are a couple of books which I would suggest. One is Blue Ocean Strategy. The second one is Founders at Work. If you are not very extrovert who can understand, even in case if you're an extrovert, I would still suggest to read a book called Never Eat Alone, which will help you to understand how to network and ask for help. And Crush It is another book, Tipping Point. So there are a lot of books which is available. If you go to Google and search, there'll be better books than me. So, I was not a book person. I was last bencher in all my life, so it's not easy for me to migrate, but I still loved all these books primarily because of the value which they delivered when I was clueless about what I should do next. So books is always something which you can look out for. There is always an answer to say that I don't have time. If you can't balance your time, you're never going to do it anywhere in your life. So you need to balance and do it some way. In case if you cannot do it, go for a physical book, probably a printed copy of a book. Probably you can try for an e-copy of a book, or even the audio copy of a book which is available. I'm not supposed to say that, but still, it's okay to get the pirated version too. And once you understand the values, please go ahead and pay for it and buy it. That's the gratitude towards the writer. So don't deny that factor as well. Because there is always a hiccup between the cost and in terms of access to funds or cash flow. So the innovation need not be a big, dramatical innovation. Focus on small, achievable, quantifiable innovations. One small step is always better than looking out for huge steep steps which can actually disturb the whole organization and collapse the organization. So don't even focus on those areas. So then we move towards what exactly the accelerators can bring into you. See, the accelerators are set up with an intention. Okay, even before accelerators, we had incubators, which actually gave some basic seed fund or without seed fund. some infrastructure for you to operate, and sometimes they do give access to some kind of government aided C fund, which was predominantly, at least in India, was occupied by education institutions. Okay. So the biggest challenge with the education institutions was access to the real-time mentors rather than faculties who are getting involved in mentoring the startups. So let it be a student startup, or let it be a professional who cuts his life after 1 or 2 decades and comes back and starts up the startup there. The biggest challenge is you need to have real-time people who are hands-on, who is dirty, who is ready to put them get into the mud and get the mud on them. So those are the people who are supposed to be the mentors. So that's one of the key delivery of any accelerator across the globe. It learns from the global players and delivers. There are some global accelerators which actually works with a lot of global entrepreneurs, and the access to the people who have learned, who have been through the journey, is a prime factor which any accelerator brings to the startup. So this is something which you don't get it outside. See, for example, if you want to go and talk to founder of Incute or InMobile, or even Funny for that case, of Redbus. So it's going to take time for you to build the relationship and ask for his time. So an accelerator can bring it to you at your desk. So that's a big difference which the accelerator brings in. You can cut down your learning curve by this process. That's the value you get out of this. So a couple of accelerators which I have seen it in India is listed down here. I work with one, Chiron. Chiron is a global growth accelerator. So what exactly is that you need to do, and what is that you can expect out of an accelerator is something which you need to decide. Which I want to share it with you. The first thing is, be prepared to leverage what you are given. So first, an accelerator doesn't come to you free, so they definitely take equity there. So you need to understand that might be about 6 to 12% of equity, depending on about who you are, what you do, how do you do it. So unless otherwise, you make use of your mentors, make use of the CXO, the chief executives of other organizations, the experts, the functional expert, the domain expert, say finance, say design guy, say architect, the best of the best in the market. So that is exactly what you get at the accelerators. But if you're not ready to utilize those resources in the right way, and if you do not understand what to ask from the resources that way, so you're not utilizing the accelerators to the best. So you need to be much prepared on what to ask from them and how to ask from them. So, you definitely will not know much about it. Probably you need to take the mentor's help to go ahead and do it. That's what our learning is. If you know what it is required from them, I would say you're a lucky person, you can start it fast. So set your expectations clearly on what you need to derive out of an accelerator. And because it's hardly 3 months or 4 months time, and that time can fly off easily. So you need to understand that. So before even getting into it, understand what you need from it, list down all those things, and keep a checklist in front of your eyes. So every single day you need to progress in every single aspect which you have written over there. And I don't believe in a concept it happens on the 3rd month. Okay, that's a wrong concept. So it should progress every single day, every single moment. That's how it works. Or if there is something wrong either in your expectation or in what the accelerator delivers, so you should need to go and talk to the program managers who can help you to get it done. See, there are a lot of small aspects which is being taken care of. It's not just about 24 hours access to coffee. It's about 24 hours access to people, which can get a lot of things done for you. And you also need to look at the vision of the accelerator. Where do they need to go? Where they are planning to go? Where they are planning to take you away? that differs from your vision, it's not going to work for you. You need to clearly understand. I would explain it to you with a small example. One is if you are a student entrepreneur, for that case, and if Startup Accelerator gives you a lot of base level trainings, it's easy for somebody to understand and move ahead at that stage. In case if you are might be a second, you are in the second venture, and if you are trying to take help specifically in terms of finance and mentoring, where I see most of the people come in for the accelerator only for finance and hardly people for mentoring, because mentoring is ground reality and it's definitely not a smooth ride. A mentor is going to be the toughest person in life. It might be a nightmare than your father or your mother, who's been always behind you saying that what are you doing. So mentor is more than that, who tries to say that what you do is completely wrong without even a single point hesitation over there. So if you cannot accept the mentor, if you cannot understand the mentor, it's not going to make sense for you to get the best use of the accelerator. So that's going to be the biggest challenge for you. So be open even before going to the accelerator. So the biggest other advantage, as I said, is the network, the co-working community. So the fellow entrepreneurs, the founders who have been there, so the kind of experience they go through, there is always a learning part which makes a big value when you move to the accelerator. For example, understanding an employee of a co-founder, another founder who's working in the same facility. So that learning is also pretty good. So when you don't have clear knowledge on what to expect out of a mentor, when another founder in the same space is working out pretty good with the mentor, probably you can go ahead and ask him, okay, how are you making use of the mentor? I mean, probably I'm not utilizing it to the full level. So that comfort level is always there. I found most of the teams are free to talk to each other and they're pretty open. They're starting fast and doing good. So for example, at Chiron, we do a lot of outbound activities so that the team can mingle fast and grow faster and gel faster together, so to use the best use of the facility. So by this, I just want to end my talk and I leave the floor to Ranak. Ranak?
Vijay, thanks for the presentation, and I think it was very encouraging, and obviously it's an eye opener for a lot of us who are trying to understand the Indian ecosystem and how it's evolving and how it sort of fares with the global ecosystem. And definitely, I mean, the accelerators are, I mean, it's new. The concept is new in India, and a lot of them are coming up. So I'm sure startups and entrepreneurs can derive a lot of value from accelerators and understand what accelerators can bring to the table for them. So that's a very interesting talk. So I mean, I have got few questions from our participants, as well as few of our participants had sent questions yesterday. So we can go through the questions and get your response. So first I will say Raghu Naik. Raghu Naik has asked this question: why do entrepreneurs think they can do the sales and marketing or everything else? Why do tech entrepreneurs? Why do tech entrepreneurs think they can do the sales and marketing or everything else?
Okay. See, I mean, there is nothing wrong in doing sales and marketing as such. It's a very interesting question as such. The first thing which I would say is there is nothing wrong in learning about sales and marketing. But do you really have the skill to do it? That's a big question, right? So just like that, you cannot go ahead and say, you know what, I'm a big salesperson in the world. You should be shameless, okay? You should have courage to go ahead and sell the product or service even before it's really complete, even before when it is ready for the market. So can you go ahead and convince your customers saying that, yes, I'm going to give you a product in case if there are hiccups, don't worry, I'm there for you. So do the tech entrepreneurs have that kind of a courage at first? I mean, most of the cases, um, they have blind faith, not really the courage. So that's one big challenge over there. Not just with tech entrepreneurs, even the other entrepreneurs have this problem of, I want to do everything here. I mean, you can't do everything there. I mean, you can't be a mother. You need to understand that. Okay, so you need to give up things, and you need to allow people to learn and do mistakes, to grow, so that they could help you to do it in a better way. Okay, I mean, how far you can extend? Maximum for about 18 hours in a day. So you have that limitation. Understand that. Allow people to work and do it. You can't do it. So if you are good at sales, okay, quit technology and go to sales. I mean, I would say it's always work. And I mean, to any of the startups which I mentor, I say, like, whoever comes into the company, including the technology guy, they should understand what sales is. So if possible, take them to the streets, allow them to meet the real customers, let them have the touch and feel of the customer. That helps them to understand the ground reality of what a salesperson is going to face, even if they are not interested with sales. It's a very huge topic. I just cannot answer with one or two sentences. I would say if your skills doesn't match, don't do it. Whatever it is, let it be sales, let it be technology, let it be leadership.
Right. I think Vijay, the main problem
which you're good at.
Yeah.
Focus.
Right. I think Vijay, the main problem that entrepreneurs face is giving up control, because I think there is this habit for every entrepreneur to be a control freak. Because it's my product, it's what I'm building from scratch. I think the mindset is I want to do everything in it. So I think the crux is how much you want to, what is your expertise area, understand that and stick to it, and let as a team blossom rather than you trying to be the end all and be all of everything.
Right. So, I mean, we always say focus on strength, not on weakness. Strength will naturally, if you keep increasing that, it will subsidize the weaknesses over a period of time. If you focus on weakness will subsidize the strength, and your strength will go in air, and weakness will dominate you. That's how the most of failures comes. Failure doesn't come not just because of, it doesn't come at the end. Failure comes at the beginning. It's our ability to, or inability to understand it at the pretty early stage and, move away from the failure.
So I think we move to the next question, Vijay. It is by Sai Krishna. And the question says that I have problem with forming a team. Since I'm pretty much a startup, I can only afford equity-based employer partner, but I could find someone stranger whom I can trust and rely on. So I think what he's trying to say is that how will an entrepreneur who's about forming a team, how can he trust a stranger, and how can he convince somebody to work on an equity basis rather than somebody who you have to pay salary upfront. So I think it's more about how you build that initial team. I think that is what Sai Krishna wants to know.
Right. See, first 5 employees can, at least the first 2 employees can change your organization dramatically. You need to be really, really careful to find the first 2 guys. Do anything for them, because they have to be more passionate than you. If you look at any large organization which is existing now, which has been as a startup, the first thing which they did is, the first set of people other than the founders, they are more smart, intelligent, and the real good people over there. In other words, I can say any skill can be learned, but the character cannot be changed. So if you find out for the right character, and that's how you need to do the interview process, and in case if you don't really have support to do that, take help of other fellow entrepreneurs who can actually guide you through the process, who has already done it. That's an easy way to do it. Look out for people with character and attitude. skill can be learned for sure.
Right.
And do some proactive activity when it comes for hiring. Go and talk to institutions. Share your knowledge with the institutions. Attract people over there. Okay, it will be helpful for you. Look out for interns. Don't look out for employees always. Startups need to look out for interns. You have a lot of learning opportunity. They also have a lot of learning opportunity when interns come in. You get a bit, cushion time of about 1-2 months for you to learn who they are and what they do. So take that comfort and execute it.
Vijay, we have to move to the next question. We have like 5 more questions, and it's already pressed for time. The next question is by Akash Gupta, and Akash asks, when one wants to expand his startup, should a person look for strategic investors or strategic partners, and also how to decide split between strategic partners?
How to decide?
The split between strategic partners. So I believe it's more about equity split or profit split. I'm not too sure, but I think he means something like that.
See, I mean, there is no standard formula there when it comes for equity split. I mean, so whatever it, I mean, if you're comfortable to share 50%, you share 50%. That's the concept there. But advisably, you cut the split shares into 2 parts. One is in case if they ask for upfront, give them say about 1 or 2% upfront in case if you're willing, and hold the majority stake or 80 or 90% of the stake for a longer duration of engagement, so that they don't get it for free. They get it only when the money comes in. Only when the returns are there, they liquidate the stakes. That's the best thing to do. And you can look out for strategic investors or strategic partners depending on your need. If you don't need the bandwidth, probably you need to look out for strategic investors and plan for the exit. And exit is also making something which is actually a prime deciding component whether you need to go for investors or partners there.
Right.
So, basically, there is a lot of time limitations, so we'll not be able to answer it completely. In case if you have,
no problem. We have all the questions that are with us, so we will just sort of, write those questions over email or on post this on Facebook, so you guys can always refer to the answers you've asked. So definitely, if you can answer things, we will definitely use it on Facebook or Twitter or over email also. So not a problem.
Thank you.
Okay, the next question is by Ganesh Pithani, and Ganesh is asking, which are the banks or government organizations that are supporting funding for startups other than VCs and angels, and do we have any support from government to encourage entrepreneurship in India?
Yes, we have a ministry for small and medium enterprises, micro, small and medium enterprises. There is a cabinet level minister, not really a cabinet minister, but cabinet level minister who takes care of the ministry. And there is some serious effort done. There are a lot of international collaborations, a lot of international funds which is flowing through it. So I hope most of you guys know about SIDBI. SIDBI is a nodal agency which handles all the international funds, which is distributed for micro, small and medium enterprises. So we have worked with SIDBI a couple of times, and most of the time the funding goes through different agencies at the state level, where the funding was utilized by the state agencies mostly, and very feeble fund was available to the entrepreneurs for implementing in themselves. And even in that part, most of it went to the collective efforts of improving the cluster, providing the infrastructure to the cluster kind of activities. So now CP said we are not going to work with any local state level agencies. So they are coming up directly to the entrepreneurs through a set of consultants or mentors. So that's what SIDBI's initiative is. It will take a little more time to get established because India is a very complex market and the red tapeism is pretty high. So, but yes, government is taking a lot of serious steps towards it. And SIDBI has a venture by itself they have micro level funding which talks about 10 lakh, 20 lakh funding, and they also talk about multi-crore funding. There are a lot of government agencies which do that. SIDBI is one of the best to look at when it comes for government level funding. And there is a lot of very micro level, might be I can call it as nano level funding which is available with the government bodies. Either in terms of grants, a lot of grants are available. You definitely need to make use of the grants. Say National Innovative Foundation or National Research and Development Corporation, say specifically for your IP. A lot of grants are available. Yes, you can look at it.
Right. Okay, so before I go to the next question, just a quick announcement from our side. Like, we are doing our Accelerate Your Startup workshop in New Delhi on June 29th, and it's in Karen Hotels, Rajpat Nagar, South Delhi. It's a whole day workshop. Vijay will be actually hand-holding entrepreneurs, going through individual business plans, mentoring them also, and helping them prepare a good pitch. So that the idea is, by the time you walk out of the workshop, you will be in a better position to be selected for an accelerator program. So what you heard today is more like a teaser. It's more like an overall understanding of how things work. But the workshop will be primarily for helping you and your business plan more ready and more prepared. So the link is here. It's in Mera Events. Mera Events, if you go to Delhi NCR region, you will see that Accelerate Your Startup is there. Do sign up. I will be there, Nidhi will be there, and Vijay will be there. It's a whole day event, and it's a whole day workshop from 9 to 6 p.m. and we definitely have a lot of goodies. We have partners who can help you. We have goodies for winners. We have some prizes also. So I look forward to seeing all of you there in the Delhi workshop. And you can always email me for further questions at ronak.guha@foundermates.com. And okay, so moving on to the next question quickly, Saroj Nayak is asking that he has failed in his first startup and he doesn't want to stop himself from being an entrepreneur. So he's an entrepreneur at heart, but he has lost all his savings. So should he opt for a job now and can make money so that later on he can invest in his own startup, or what should he do? I mean, he's entrepreneur at heart, but it's like, he's lost his money, so he doesn't know what to do. It's like a problem that every entrepreneur faces at some point. What's your take on that? Just a quick response will do.
Sure. See, the first thing which I need to say is, entrepreneurship journey, specifically at the startup environment, is very, very tough. Okay, if your family, say your spouse or your mom or dad, doesn't support it, the journey is going to be really hard for you. So look at your environment and decide. It's okay to fail, okay, but the society is not going to accept the failures. So understand that. And I mean, I heard Michael Dell saying like his mom wanted him to be a doctor, and he's still trying to convince her after 30 years, saying like, okay, I'm doing good things, and it's making value to the society. So look at your environment and take a decision. I just cannot suggest you what you have to do. But I'm telling you one thing, if the entrepreneur bug is there inside you, you cannot stick on to a job for a longer time. So when you pick up a job, in case if you pick up a job, you need to understand that you need to look out for two things. One is learning, and where you can exercise what you've learned in your entrepreneurship skills. So that is where you can stay away from entrepreneurship on life, but still from heart you are still pursuing entrepreneurship. That's how you can do it. Probably in case if you need more guidance, you can put the same question in FounderMates and we can discuss on that.
Yes.
It's SIDBI, SIDBI.
Right. Okay, so the next question is by Pranay Agarwal. Pranay Agarwal's question is, he's already running a startup called Pass Kara Do, and but he knows that there is some lack in what he's doing. Maybe he's not sure where exactly. So he wants a mentor who can help him how to proceed, and so he wants to know how to proceed and whom to talk and everything else. So I think before Vijay, I can suggest Pranay, just check out FounderMates.com, which is essentially for helping people like you who have a startup, who have an idea but need some mentor, some expert who can guide you. Sign up there today itself, and Nidhi or I will definitely approve you and give you a reason why you're joining the startup, why you need an advisor, and all those things. And after you get approved, then you will have access to the list of about 80-90 advisors and experts, and you can choose which one. You have all their profiles ready, what they do and what are their experiences are, and definitely you can connect to any one of them. You can connect to Vijay, is also a part of that. You can connect to Vijay also on the platform, or anyone else, and you can definitely get help from there. So it's not a problem. I think we have covered. We have more questions. One being, okay, CB. Okay, you've got that question, CB. Anything else? Anything else we have missing here? Do you have such a program in Bangalore? No, not at this moment, but yes. Raghu's asking. So to Raghu, yes, we don't have any plans at the moment, but yes, I mean within the next couple of months, we do want to have something in Bangalore, because Vijay himself is based out of Bangalore, so it always helps to have something over there. So keep checking out. Now you know us, and you always can connect to us. So we will definitely let you know when we are having something in Bangalore in the near future. And I think there are 3-4 questions which I don't think we have enough time to do it. I can do one quick question is, what are different platforms to raise funds other than VC and bank loan? I think this question was asked by 2 people. So just a quick thing, what are the different areas to raise funds other than VCs, angels or bank loans?
Yeah, I would say you always raise money from your customer. Don't look out for a VC or a bank or an investor or an angel. A seed funding company. Growth accelerators are one way. There are a lot of seed funding agencies, micro level, macro level seed funding agencies. You can look at it. But the best way is to raise the money from the customer.
Right.
And you can also look at partners whom you can partner with, and they can invest on your product or service, and they can be a larger part, a corporate, where you can see a strategic partnership. So something like that is the best option for you to go.
Right. Yes, I think the crux here is, we all run after raising investment, but what we should look at it is bootstrap as much as possible and try to get a business model in place so that you have revenue in place. And once revenue is in place, you yourself don't have to shell out equity to different for raising funds. So I think the best thing is to just see how much you can bootstrap and how much you can build a business out of it.
Sure, that should be easy.
And I think there was one question which I think is pretty broad, and I think it's we can't address it on this on this webinar. It's like, how much percentage of funds should be allocated for marketing for an internet-based company, and what should be the marketing strategy? It is asked by Munirul Islam. But I think the issue is here we need to understand more. It's very specific to a company, and it cannot be a very generic advice. So I think it has to be delve through more to understand what the industry is and what the company is and what they're doing. So there is no generic value to it, I believe. Right. So did I miss any questions from the platform? Okay. So there is, I think, one more question. Are we getting business accelerator workshop in Hyderabad? Yeah, I think it's the same question, same thing. Hyderabad, Bangalore, we have all this in mind, and we will do it one way or the other. Gradually, we will do all of them. So we have those things. The idea is, it's the demand, how many people are willing to do it, so that it becomes cost effective for them as well. So if you think that there is a lot of demand out there for something like this, do send me an email. Do send me an email to Nidhi, and we can take it forward. Right? So thanks everybody. Yep. Thanks for joining. I think we should wind up now. We're already like overtime by 6 minutes. I know it's a Saturday morning, and we shouldn't be like, it's a Saturday after all, it's a weekend. So let's have a relaxing time. And thanks everyone for taking your time for an hour. Thanks Vijay for giving this excellent presentation and giving us an idea of how to go about things. We are a startup ourselves, so it's definitely an eye opener for us to understand more how Indian market is working. So thank you, and thanks everyone. We'll see you soon with the next webinar, and if some of you are interested in the Delhi workshop, do register or do connect to me. Thank you everybody. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.